man. Margaret, I'm going live. Catch me after. All right, cool. Today, we bring you a rare encounter between two radio operators communicating high above the Earth's atmosphere via FM satellite. Normally, these satellites are bustling with conversations, connecting operators from around the globe. But today, something extraordinary is happening. There are only two operators utilizing this satellite. Now, for our regular viewers, we challenge you to spot something new in our production. Don't worry, it won't be hard. This isn't rocket science. Well, maybe a little. Regardless, sit back, relax, and enjoy this unique moment between two hams with a satellite all to themselves. W5ITR EM13.
W5ITR, this is November 0, Golf Victor Kilo, and Echo November 00, Nebraska.
Echo November 00, I copy. Thanks for the contact this morning. I'm EM13.
Sure as hell. I was hoping we'd find some of the 13 colony stations on here.
Me as well. I've only got South Carolina so far.
I've got two left, then I got a clean sweep.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
This is my first Lilac 2 in a couple of days.
Yeah, mine too. I've been checking it here and there, and this is the first time I found it up. My check AO773.
7-3. Well, it's not often you get to have a QSO on a satellite, but it happens. All right, gang. Wow, huh? So tell me, what'd you guys think of that? Look, I know it's not ham radio. Sure, I used a satellite contact video as the medium, but this is not about ham radio. This is really about artificial intelligence and the proliferation of tools that are now in the hands of everyday people, right? Hams alike. So I wanted to bring this video to you guys to highlight one of the new tools that I stumbled across. And while I was thinking about putting that together, I thought, well, geez, why don't I try to bring together multiple AI tools? And that's what I did here. And, again, look, I know it's not ham radio, but I also know that all of the hams that I know, right, the hams that I hang out with, they're all tech heads, right? This is going to be right down their alley. So my hope is that it is at least entertaining and hopefully informative. And, it's a very topical subject, right? I mean, if you think about what's going on today in our times, right, where the debates over self-driving vehicles, we see ChatGPT disrupting all kinds of industries, generative AI just as a whole, right, is wreaking havoc across the board, right, from genetics research to high school essays and college entrance impacts, right? So all those things. And I mean, geez, look, you've got the very, very recent, the Screen Actors Guild, right? All of the actors going on strike. And one of the big topics and one of the items that's on the bargaining table is the use of AI. And these guys are concerned that AI is going to cut into their livelihood. So, and interestingly enough, this tool we're going to talk about is one of the tools that is causing the fuss, right? This Wonder Dynamics tool is one of the tools that folks point to as, a an example of where the industry is going. So certainly a very topical subject, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this. But hey, leave me some comments. Let me know if this is just kind of out of bounds from the perspective of what you guys want to see, or if this is something that you're interested in. I'm certainly interested in it, right? I really enjoy kind of all facets of technology, and if I can find a way to weave them into ham radio, even better, right? Even if it's very loosely, as this is the case. So, but there's likely more going on here than most viewers may be aware, right? So the obvious piece here is the CG animation, right? This motion capture tool that I'm using. That's kind of the obvious piece, right? Using artificial intelligence, machine learning, really cutting out the whole need for those very expensive motion capture cameras, people in those suits with all the, various tennis balls or whatever they use at the joints to track movement, right? This eliminates all of that. That's the intent here. And let me bring up just a couple of slides here so I don't forget any of the points that I want to cover. All right, I guess I better move out of the way here just a bit as well. So, in addition to the obvious piece, what may not be so obvious is that I used ChatGPT to script the intro. So, I wasn't just creating a zany intro, right? That kind of campy, kind of goofy, little bit of intro there was actually ChatGPT generated. So I wanted to share with you guys the messages that I use to actually create the script. And this is the actual verbiage here, right? So this is what I typed in. After I got a response, I tried to give it a little bit more direction to try to refine the result. And, I did that a couple of more times. And you can see exactly what I typed in here. Now, if I, dig in a little deeper on each of these responses, the first response was actually not awful. It was a lot longer than I needed, right? One of the other interesting aspects of this tool, and I'll get into it a little bit later, but you get a very limited amount of processing in this beta program. And this program is in a beta stage right now. But the initial response, it wasn't awful. However, it did include camera shots, music cues. It even included dialogue. Now the dialogue was pretty campy, right? It was just chock full of interesting tidbits, right? Phrases like "about to make radio history" and some dialogue about aliens because we were talking about satellites, things of that nature. So when I got that first response back, I gave it a little more direction, right? And I said, get rid of all the extra stuff. All I need is the intro, and let's keep this thing short. And what I got back was pretty much what I asked for, right? It did eliminate all the camera shots. It eliminated all the dialogue. It kept the music cues in, which I thought was interesting. But the other thing it did is it really shortened the response, right? Really too short. So I shot it another message and said, hey, can you combine these? And it did. And it did a pretty good job of really grabbing the best aspects of the first response and the second response, right? But it still had some of the, the hyperbole, some of the kind of audacious comments in there, right? The about to make radio history thing. I mean, come on, we're making a satellite contact. So I sent it one more direction, right? Reduce the hyperbole, and it actually cleaned it up pretty well. And what I used was very, very close to what was provided. And look, this is something that could legitimately be used, right? At least as a starter. If you're struggling with putting together the details of an intro or a speech or whatever it is, this thing can certainly get you started. So that's the ChatGPT portion of the video. Now, the other part, which I said is more obvious, was the CG actors. And this was done using a tool called Wonder Dynamics Wonder Studio. And this is a fairly new tool. It's, I think it had a debut last year at South by Southwest. I think was the first public demo. It's being put out there by Ty Sheridan from Ready Player One. He's teamed up with some other folks, names that I didn't recognize, but I certainly recognized his. And, when I stumbled upon this, and I can't recall exactly where I stumbled upon it, but when I did stumble upon it, there was a mention of a pending public beta. It was currently in private beta, and there was a link where you could go in, put your information in, talk about how you want to use the tool, and you would be considered for the public beta. Now, I don't know how much consideration actually happens. They probably give it to everybody who's willing to give it a try, especially because even though it's a beta, it still requires a subscription. And this isn't like, it's not a $5 subscription, right? Let me put it that way. I'll show you some detail here very shortly. But, the other thing that really caught my eye is at that initial, that first level of subscription, you only get 150 seconds. That's seconds, 2.5 minutes of processing a month, which I thought was really stingy. The other thing I thought was interesting, though, and I guess it started to make a little more sense when I gave it a try, I did a 10-second clip, right? Knowing I've only got 2.5 minutes, I want to try to do something for a video here, but I got to see how this thing works. So I did a 10-second clip to test it out. And so I, went through the process, uploaded my video, and I'll show you guys the process here in a few minutes. But that 10-second clip took 74 minutes to actually process, right? So, this is using AWS on the back end, and if you think about the fact that a 10-second clip is going to take over an hour to process, and understanding what some of the cost is of AWS resources and services, I can see why they're trying to get some folks to pony up a little bit during this beta period. The tool's a little bit clunky, but it's certainly workable. And, based on what I've seen in terms of comments on the Discord channel and some of the early videos that were created using this tool, they're making really good progress on it. Okay, let's walk through the tool here a little bit. Everyone's seen ChatGPT at this point. There's nothing too exciting to show there. There's nothing really earth-shattering there. But here's the interface for Wonder Studio. So this is the tool by Wonder Dynamics. Here you can see that you're given a number of what they call featured templates. These are essentially scenes that you can drop characters into and see how they perform. You also have a number of featured characters. If you click on the card, it'll show you what that character can look like in a scene. You can see there's all kinds of crazy stuff here. This one's pretty interesting. This one supports facial performance, right? So it reads your face, it reads your eyes, your mouth, those types of things. And so, lots of built-in characters that you can use. Now this here, these are my projects, right? And I'll show you how you build a project real quick. You just click on Start a New Project, and you can upload a scene or a video. I've got some in here, so I'm just going to grab this 10-second clip that I had used the first time I had tried this. And this looks very similar to a video editor for all of you folks who are familiar with that paradigm. And you've got your playback head, and you move that to various points in the timeline. And within a scene, you have to go through this process where the system identifies the actors, and you can see it picked me out there, no problem. And then you apply an actor to the scene. And if you have multiple cuts, you can do that for each of those cuts. And then here you just pick some of the details around, what you want your final rendered file to look like. You can choose some of these extra elements. As I mentioned, some are only available whenever you have a higher level of subscription. But that's it. That's let me show you here. So I've rendered out most of my time for the month. I've got 15 seconds left, and here you can see the pricing levels, right? You can from $19 a month for 150 seconds up to call us because we don't want to put it in print on a website. But pretty impressive tool. They've got some tutorials, documentation, a Discord. And, I have to say, the Discord community is fantastic. I had somebody who came back to me within just a few minutes whenever I had some questions. So it was pretty impressive. So that's it. There you have it. I just wanted to share something that I thought was really interesting, something that I thought you all might find interesting as well. And, it's really interesting to see where this technology is going. It's interesting to see how, this is, disrupting things in Hollywood. And, we've seen it in other industries with other tools. And I think this is just the beginning. So anyhow, thanks for indulging me. I hope you found this entertaining in the very least, and maybe informative. And I thank you for watching. Take care.